Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it is November 4th of 2023. Um, Here are those shoes that I ordered in. Size, uh, size 11, I think. Yeah, I ordered size 11. I just barely get my swollen feet into them. And so far I've got my feet into the shoes. Um, I think I need to order two sizes larger. That uh, might be a little, I don't know. Right now, squeezing my feet in there, I'm afraid that, you know, walking is going to rub on the feet in the wrong place and cause a blister or something like that, which I can't handle those kind of things. My feet are already, and legs are swollen. The swelling and lack of circulation is moving up. It's about at my knee level now. Not sure what happens when it gets to the heart level. But anyway, I think I will probably be ordering a couple sizes up. I mean, I'll keep these, uh, and I think they'll work right now. I'm afraid about the rubbing on my feet. Um, let's see what else is new. I hooked up this microphone again. Let's see. I haven't actually plugged it in. Yeah. Oops. Thing's going to fall down here. Let's see. Go over here maybe. There it is. Maybe up a little bit. So I don't actually have it plugged in, but it's sitting in it, And this camera, the Avery Media, is this view here. And I think I look positively gross with every, this one's okay. It's up there on top of the monitor, and I think it's okay, but I'm thinking about just disconnecting it. And because no matter where I try to put it, it looks bad. I know I look bad, but I don't want to look bad. So, let's see. Let's go to Amazon and see if I'm going to make any money. I know I'm not, because I never have. Let's see, earnings. Up here at the toppy. Computer's moving kind of slow. Go down here a little bit. Let's see. Well, you can see along here from October 5th up to November 1st that the line of people click, it is moving up, per day. 16 clicks, 39 clicks. These are for daily ones. 95 clicks. Now these are just clicks. It doesn't mean that the person bought anything. It just means 186 clicks. That must be something that's bought. Okay, somebody, it says I made $15 earnings. Was that on that day or, yeah, $15. So let's go to, okay, let's go down to earnings. Okay. On on October 31st, using my links, on that day, 56 clicks were made. And one item was purchased. That says revenue. And I made 18 cents. Now on November 1st, that's 3 days ago, somebody purchased something for $600 and my commission was $15. So I will be getting, now there's a delay, but I will be getting at some point. Let's go up to payment history to get a little bit of an idea here, but I think things are improving a little bit. So if you're using the link, okay, here it is from February 23rd to September 29th. And you can see that I made $9.54. And then well, that was February 1st. March 1st, I made $11.46. And then on March 30th, we add those together. And on March 30th, I made, for the month, $21, and it was paid to me. Then on April 1st, I made $6.33, and on that was April, and on May 1st, I made $8.21, and then on June 1st, I, made $14.95 for that month, I guess, and I was paid, so after 3 months or whatever, I made $29.49. So you can kind of see there, but keep on using the links. Now, I can't see who bought. I can't see, but I can see someplace, if I can find it, what people are purchasing. Let's see, consolidated summary. Let's see if that does it. No. Let's see, product linking. Okay, banners. Okay, promotions, tools, reports, help, influencers. Let's see. Okay, someplace in here is what people are buying. Let's see. Product links, maybe that's it. No, that's just a thing. I think, no, it actually is searching for something, so let's give it some time here. Okay, nope, that's not it. Let's go back to okay, tools, reports. Let's see, consolidated summary. Let's see what that shows up. I need to take an approximate. Okay, that's not it. So I give up for a while. Anyway, you can see that I do not make very much money from Amazon clicks, but you can see that there are a lot of clicks from my site, or that people already have maybe saved the link, maybe on their desktop or something, the link, and then if you're going to go shopping on Amazon, maybe they click on that, because the numbers of clicks are pretty high. But it looks like that one was, I think it was one purchase 600. That sounds like a computer or something, I'd like to know what it was. Just out of curiosity. I'm not going to stick around let's see what else is going on here. Like I said, I'm going to, I think, disconnect this camera, or else I'll be clicking on it and messing with it if I just disconnect it. Oh, my arthritis is really bad. Going to take an naproxen. Naproxen, thank God, works well. Because if I try to get a doctor to give me some real pain, it doesn't, but if I went and asked for, something, the doctor would say, no, you can't have it. Not that I'm a drug user or ever, I haven't taken any drugs at all, period. I'm just lucky that the naproxen works. Let's see. Trying to think of Valium. I got married at age 26. Darlene was 18. After 6 years of marriage, she decided that she didn't like me anymore, and I came home from work and there wasn't anything there. She came back after, I don't know, a couple of months or something like that, and then we were together for 6 years. Looked like 6 years is the thing. And then she wanted a divorce, and we, got a divorce. But okay, so we were married 6 years. And I come home from work. Kids are gone, 2 of them. And 2 of the 2. She didn't just leave 2 of them, so. And for a while, I didn't know where she was, And her parents had set her up in an apartment. So, anyway, I didn't know where she was or where the kids were. I mean, I knew the kids were okay, that she'd be taking care of the kids, but I didn't know where they were. So I started having chest pain. And so I was thinking, well, okay, when I die of this heart attack, she's going to be sorry. That's kind of stupid, And the pain went on and on. Actually, what was happening, I didn't know it until I saw the doctor. And I think it was like 5 or 6 days before I went to the emergency room. And what actually was happening was my heart was not skipping. What was happening was, your heart makes up, beep, 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 beep. And what my heart was doing was, it was doing, okay, beep, 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 beep. It was doing a premature beat following the other one. And so my system, oh, okay, it's beeped, but it actually was skipping, that little beep it gave it, that was not sufficient. And then what happens is, which is really, well, you can't say everything, something, stuff can be dangerous, but the heart muscle or whatever gets, what's going on here, gets agitated or whatever, and so you get pain around your heart, and so that's what it was. So anyway, after 6 days or whatever, the doctor prescribed Valium for me. And I took a Valium, but immediately, pain gone. Pain gone. And so I think later on, a few days later, I think I took another Valium, and that was about it. By that time, I think Darlene was back, unfortunately. So I still had that, because I only took one or two, or I think I took maybe 3 Valium, one at a time. And I put that on the shelf. I'm not a drug user, never been a drug user, And I put it on the shelf, and then 6 years later, Darlene wanted a divorce, and whatever. And my heart started, beep, doing the, okay. So I took a Valium, I took another Valium. This medicine, by the way, was then 6 years old, and heart's okay. The pain has gone away. Okay, then after 12 years of marriage, Darlene wanted a divorce, and I gave her the divorce, So, okay. God, I don't know how many years went by, and I was not married, and I was in, ended up in Miami, and we lived I lived with my son and my grandson. Not in the beginning, it was just my son and I. And he was going to get his bachelor's degree for air traffic controller. And then he took the exam and passed it, the exam for actually being an air traffic controller. That's another story. I told it back, but anyway, so we were moving, but in Miami. And my son decided that I guess I should be doing the moving, for some reason. And we were on the 2nd floor, and I'm having chest pain. So I started having chest pain. So I go over, actually it was for I think I changed, I hadn't changed doctors. Anyway, I went over to the doctor office. My son had 2 cars. Grown son, by the way, he had 2 cars, but he didn't want me to drive either one of the cars. He had a nice Jeep, and then he had an older car that I hated. I didn't like the car. He liked that car, an older car. I mean, it wasn't an older classic or something. It was, the windshield was kind of, I hated that car. But when he wanted oil changed on a car or something, he would say, Dad, you need to drive me over, and he would go over to this nice, man, they had a nice big TV screens there, in this car dealership, and all that kind of stuff. But he wouldn't go over, like he wanted the oil change, he wouldn't go over and sit there in the waiting room for an hour. We didn't live very far from it. But he would have me drive, depending on which car it was. If it was his Jeep, he didn't want me driving that, but so I'd drive the other car. Anyway, we'd go over there, and then he'd come back, and then an hour later or whatever, I'd have to go with him because somebody had to drive the other car back. But so anyway, I was having chest pain, So I went to the doctor, and I was surprised, actually. I didn't tell my son, hey, I'm having chest pain. I just said I was going to for the doctors for my exam or whatever, which actually I sort of was. Uh, so anyway, my son said, oh, take the car, not the Jeep. And I said, no, I'll just take the bus. And the bus did stop right in front, so I took the bus. Okay, I go over. I go in, doctor's checking me, doing that kind of stuff, and anything going on. I said, well, I am having irregular heart rhythm. I said, I've had that I explained, I've had that in the past, and it's actually, has two, and then it skips a beat, that kind of stuff. And he said, oh, let's do an EKG. Came over, they did an EKG, and then he came back, and he said, okay, I've got the paperwork here and everything. Go over to the hospital. Now, it wasn't very far, but too far to walk, especially for me. But, so I didn't tell him I don't have a car. I went, walked half a block down in the heat, waited for the bus, and then I thought, well, the bus is going to drop me off. And I'd worked, by the way, 30 years hospital security in the past. You would think that I might have, been thinking a little bit. I thought I'll get there, and then I'll get off the bus, and then I'll walk into the hospital. So I got there, and the hospital is on the property, sitting way, way back. So I'm walking up the driveway. And I get there, and brought the x-rays with me and everything, and they called cardiology, and then they did a let's see, was that where they did the heart catheterization? Yeah, I think that's, yeah. So I was admitted, and so the cardiologist says, and by the way I ate, the kind of food I ate, and my lifestyle and that kind of stuff, I thought, oh man, my heart's going to be filled with, junk. And so what they do is, they take you to a heart cath lab. I felt kind of funny about that because the hospitals that I worked at, especially one of them, I would hear all the time, code red, heart cath lab, heart cath, code red. And security had to respond. At all the hospitals I worked at, we had to respond on all code blues. That's one of the things we had to respond, for various reasons. Sometimes family, oh no, Grandpa, don't die, and we're on top of them, or you don't know what you're gonna have. One hospital had a really excellent cardiopulmonary department, really good. All of the people were really good and everything, except all these employees would show up. I mean, too many of them. So one of the things we had to do when we got there is make sure that there, and I know that sounds strange, to tell, these technicians, of course you didn't do, if you had a couple in there, you probably only needed one. The doctor was responding, nurses on a code blue, all these people. And, but we'd have to actually tell, there's too many of you here now. Some of them have to leave. That sounds strange, but you don't know how the situation, how it works or how it ended up. The reason that hospital had such a hell of a good, cardio department was there was a guy who was in charge of the department, and he was wanted by the Marshals Department, U.S. Marshals. He was a there was a warrant for his arrest and all that kind of stuff, and they were looking for him and all that kind of stuff. I was at that time when he was there. I was working security at another hospital, and found out later on that his wife was working at this other hospital, St. Joe Hospital, and she worked in the ER. And when somebody would come in after hours, when the business office was closed or whatever, she would tell them, of course, you shouldn't bring any valuables in the hospital. And there was this elderly couple, and they said, no, we'll keep our money. And apparently she told her husband, and he came over. So the story on that was the husband and wife were up in the room, and I don't think I was working when this happened. I think some other security officer was working, because I don't remember the part of me having to go take the report. Anyway, the wife's in the room with him, and somebody just came in, respiratory therapy, and gave him his, treatment. And then this guy comes in, and he says, I'm here to give your husband a treatment. And she says, they just gave him a treatment. And he says, oh, this is, doctor wants him on something different. And she says, what is it? And then he gives the name of a treatment for that a respiratory therapy person would be giving, and the doctor might have ordered. And then he says, would you step outside? And she said, they always let me stay here with my husband. He says, I'd prefer if you'd step outside. So she stepped outside, and then he came out immediately. And then she went in, and then she looked in the drawer where his billfold was supposed to be, and it wasn't there. And so you get the idea, This lady, she told her husband, and he was in charge of respiratory therapy at Trinity Lutheran Hospital, and he was wanted by the police. And now they didn't tie this together, right then. But the U.S. Marshals, and I don't know who else, I'm sure a local police department, and I'm not sure if there was any FBI involved or what. They show up, and he shot it out in the hospital with the police. And I think he shot a marshal or a police officer, I can't remember. That's been a long time ago. It's back in the 74, 75, something like that. But Trinity Lutheran Hospital then got in a new head of cardiology, of respiratory therapy. And that guy came, he was good. And he came in, and they gave him, I think, like, fix this, unlimited, well, they wouldn't have said unlimited money, but he got everything he wanted. And he had one hell of a department there because of what happened before. And they had really good employees and everything else. Anyway, I'm in Miami, and I go in, and the cardiologist, they looked at the X-rays and the EKGs and everything, and the doctor said, we're going to do a heart cath lab on you. That's where they go in through your leg with a line that has a camera on it, and it goes up from your thigh or whatever up and into your heart and checks everything out with a camera. And he said, now what we need you to do, if, since we're doing this procedure, if your heart, needs, he didn't say it this way, plaque removed or whatever and stuff done, we want to do it then, And I said, okay. So I fill it with my diet and with I thought for sure. So I woke up, and the cardiologist said, Jim, we checked you out. you know, and everything's fine. Your valves are working fine. There's no plaque built up. And I thought, my God, the way I eat, stuff. He said, well, I'm not sure if they released me that day or maybe the next day. I can't remember. But anyway, I went home. But that's the story of that. Also, I worked at St. Joseph Hospital. That's where when I worked there, that was the first hospital I worked at. Started in 1972, I think. Worked there about 5 years. Bad neighborhood. Well, we had 2 security officers shot, not at the same time, but the same parking lot and the same time, 9:15 p.m., and then about a year or so later, security officer shot 9:15 p.m. The first security officer was disabled. Well, he came back to work, but mentally he was in no condition to work. And so they, and he was, I think, ready to quit. And then the second security officer, John Galegas, he was in the parking lot at 9:15 p.m. The inside officer came out and said, John, do you want a break? And he said, nope, I'm okay. And 9:15, pretty quiet there. And then a guy comes through. Now, you didn't usually stay in the shack. There was a small shack there. And you didn't keep the light on inside at night if you were in there either, But so he's in the parking lot, and a guy comes in to the parking lot, not through the main gate, but through a gate. I've talked about that story. And then started going through a car. I usually don't mention this. I've told this story before, but I don't usually mention it because it seems so improbable. But this was the doctor's parking lot. But then at night or the afternoon, employees could park there, or visitors, also in that area, the doctor's parking lot. The car this black guy, that this guy came into, or when he came in the parking lot, the guy went to a car, and it was John Galegas' car, the security officer's car. And he was, I think it was I forgot now after all these years, Tigua Indians in Mexico. He was, I guess he was I know he was, Hispanic, and I thought Mexican. I thought John, But every year he would take a vacation. He'd go down to the Tigua Indian Reservation, and he would fill his car up with stuff for them. And so that's what it was. Anyway, they both saw each other at the same time. They both drew at the same time. They both shot each other at the same time. And when John hit the ground, he was dead. And the guy who shot him and that John shot, he managed to jump about a 7-foot barbed, one of those, fences that he went over that fence, but he collapsed on the next block over, and the police got him. So I've talked about this numerous times. 30 minutes. This is a good time to quit. I thank you for watching.